Hi there, in this video I'm going to show you the basics of the WordPress block editor. Now the block editor was first introduced in WordPress 5.0 in 2018, and that replaced the previous version of the editor, which was the classic editor, which you'll see in this image, which you may be familiar with if you were using WordPress before 2018. So you would have, just this box basically, similar to a Word document, where you just type in things and then it would display on the page. But there are certain limitations with this way of editing, because you can't really, create columns and add interesting things like, put in like visual sort of building elements like buttons and things like that. So it's very basic, similar to a Word document, where you could sort of do some very basic things like, put an image to the left or the right of the text and it will flow around it, all that sort of thing, which was fine, but very limited to what you could do when it came to if you wanted to create columns and add buttons and visual elements. Now this stuff was replaced by plugins that created shortcodes where you could, put in a shortcode for a button, but that still didn't show you visually what it would look like. You'd have to, publish or update the page, and then you'd have to go and have a look at it on the front end of the website, and that became really, it was fine at the time, and I remember using that sort of structure, but it was by no means efficient, and it's what we had at the time. So when the block editor came out again in 2018, I was really excited about what it could do. And of course it was really, at the very beginning stages, so it was very limited, and I mean we could see the progress and the future of it, but it again still wasn't really that amazing. Very limited, and to a degree it was a bit of a a learning curve for a lot of people. So a lot of people who were using and used to the classic editor, which you see on the screen, they didn't really particularly take a liking to the block editor, and there are certain pros and cons around that. However, we're in 2023 now, and the block editor has been around for 5 years, and it has progressed a lot since then. And so whilst the argument that the classic editor was easier to use, it was true. All you had to do was just write content into that white box. The block editor certainly has overtaken a lot of that, and there's kind of really no excuse to not use the block editor now. So anyway, the purpose of this video is to really just go over the basics of the block editor, and to just give you a very brief, quick overview of it. I'm not going to go into great detail about it, and by no means this video is probably going to be outdated pretty soon, because WordPress continuously updates, and which is great, which is a great thing about WordPress, and things progress and get better, but the principles of the block editor will stay the same. So this is going to be kind of evergreen in that regards. So anyway, let's get to it, shall we? So as you can see on the screen here, I've added a new page, again at a title called Block Editor Basics, which is what I'm going to be going through. And this is the typical screen that you might see. You may see a different layout. Let's just say if I get rid of the full screen mode there, you might see this as you come in, and it will just again depend on your setup. But essentially this is what you'll see, and you'll be like, if you're not used to this, you'll be like, oh, what do I do here? So I'm going to put it back to the full screen mode, because this is what I prefer personally, because I can just sort of navigate around the rest of the dashboard here with ease. But if you do want to turn that off, you can then just go back into full screen and click that, and it will take you back into the full screen mode. And as you can see, those little three dots will bring up a contextual menu where you can see other things like the preference panel, which you may want to go through and have a look over, which I'll kind of go over a little bit. Yeah, and you can go and turn on a few things here and turn them off. You can actually go and turn off certain blocks that you may not use, just to keep things a little bit easier for yourself. And of course, you know, the panels that you might find in the right hand side area, you can turn those things off as well. So yeah, which is similar to the page options or the screen options, which is what we had before in the previous. So up the top here, you'll see screen options. These are now sort of moved into this panels area that you can go and turn off those certain things in here. So, and you've got a whole bunch of little options here as well. So anyway, let's just dive into the just the user interface here. So as you can see, it's blank. You'll see a couple of plus icons. You'll see this plus icon here. This will basically allow you to select from some commonly used blocks that you may want to use. So you've got paragraph block here, you've got image, you've got group, comments, custom HTML, and columns. Now if you click on the browse all, that will open up the sidebar menu here. Now you can also get to that sidebar menu by just clicking on that plus icon at the top there, and then you'll see all the different blocks out of the box. Now again, these are all the blocks that you'll find out of the box when you install WordPress, when you set it up for the first time, and you'll see all the blocks here that can be used and added to the page. So we've got paragraph, got heading, got list, and you can see a bit of a sort of an example as you scroll over these in the little pop-up screen there, and you can sort of see what it will look like. Now you'll see this one here, Fluent Forms. Now this block has been added. This is not a default WordPress block. This has been added by the Fluent Forms plugin. So that's its. So you'll find that separate plugins or plugins, third-party plugins, may bring in their own blocks into the editor. So then you can pull in the data that those plugins show. And in this case, the Fluent Forms plugin is a forms plugin, so it will display a form on your website that you set up through the Fluent Forms interface. So then you've got media elements like image, gallery, and so on and so forth. You've got design like buttons, and here we go. We've got columns. We've got a group block that you can group blocks within, and you've got a row block, and you've got stack. You've got a more just sort of design elements there, some spaces, a separator if you want a line between certain blocks. And then you've got widgets here as well, so commonly things that we found in the widgets panel can be also found here as well if you want to add some widgets. And then specifically there are theme related blocks as well, which either the theme that you're using brings in, just similar to what a plugin does, but also what the theme itself can provide in terms of blocks. But if there's nothing that's specific to the theme, these will just be sort of like standard blocks that you'll find in any WordPress installation. Now this theme is a full site editing theme. So the one I'm using the Green Shift full site editor theme, and then it will have specific blocks for that specific editor, but I'm not going to go over that. I'm just going over purely the basics of the block editor. So and then you scroll down here and you've got some embeds, like if you want to put in a YouTube video and something like that, and I'll demonstrate some of these as I build out a page. So other things that you can find in this plus icon up the top here is you can see patterns. Now patterns are pre-built designs that you can bring in into the layout of your page. So again, I'm using the Green Shift theme, so that theme has within it patterns that you can use. So if I click on, say, footer here, you can see that you can add in those specific patterns as an example. Let me just drop that in, and you'll see what I mean. So that's a section there, and that's put it into a group. So that's an example of a group. Go back to patterns again. I go to say header. Well, actually, let's go to hero headers, and we'll drop this one in here. So you can see that you can really start building out some designs really quickly using the patterns, and these are really handy to get fast, quick designs into your page without having to build them. Basically, these are all pre-built sort of patterns, which is what they called patterns. I'm just going to go and remove that. So let's just start off by creating, say, that header that you just saw, but I'm just going to make it a little bit slightly different. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to, now you can click the plus buttons and you can do a search. So I'm going to be looking for the group block. So that's one way of doing it. The other way I could do it is by pressing the plus and then go into the search here and go group. Or I could scroll down to the design elements and find the group there and click it to bring it in. Or the other version is to just go / group, and then you'll see the group block there. Again, you can get to things pretty easily by just doing / button. Let's just say I want to put a video in here, so I've got a YouTube or just a video or a video press. So there is again, this video press one is a plugin, so that's just a plugin that puts in its own block, and heading, all that sort of thing. You can scroll through any sort of blocks that you kind of are familiar with to add them really quite easy, even a HTML custom HTML block as well, and you just click it to put it in. So here we go. I'm just going to go and create a group. And then group blocks together, select a layout. Now this gives you the option to choose a half column or a vertical block stacked. I'm just going to go vertical, so I can put things in to each column. Now I'm going to introduce you to the list view, which is this icon here, or it's actually now called the document overview, but this kind of combines two things together. So it's got a row block, which is the group, which I've got two things side by side here, and I've got the outline here. We've got the outline which tells us how many characters are on the page, how many words, and how long it would take to read. And you can even see the structure as well, but there's nothing in here to see the structure, so this is just an example. So I'll go back to list view, and this is essentially the layout of the page. So for example, if I add another block, you'll see that paragraph is now being added. If I click enter and add, say, YouTube, you'll see that block's been added. So it just adds the you click on after. So you notice that if I want to put something after, I can actually click on the three little dots here and go insert after. Now I'll add in the block, a blank block underneath, or just a paragraph block. I can click in here to remove one. I can click on the three and then go down to remove block, or I can click in the block here itself and go backspace, and that will delete it. So let's just put in a heading here. Cool. I'm going to select this. I'm just going to say this is a heading block. Oops. And then you'll see this navigation menu appear above the block. So I'm going to just click and drag that, and I'm going to drag that up into that first column that I had. And you'll see now that the row block here that I've got, this is a heading block here. Now if I add underneath that, within the same block, now it adds another block next to it because it's a row. So I'm going to go / image, and I'm going to click on media library, and I'm going to bring in an image that I've used before. Let's just go this one, for example. Cool. And I'm going to click on the image here, and notice I'm just going to go through a few options here just so that you can see me doing this. Move the block. I'm going to make this image 50% less. I'm going to go to the row, and I'm going to go and make the so you can do your justifications here, so I can have that image slightly bigger there. Now this is H2, so I'm going to go click on the H1 because that's just the main heading block that I want. Go into row, and go into the style here. We've got some padding. Don't need that block plugin. Okay, so I'm going to convert this to just a normal group now. And what I'm going to do in here, I'm going to go insert before, and I'm going to go and put in a row, a row block. Actually, no, I'm not going to do that. Sorry, I meant to put in a columns block. So this block gives me, similar to what the row block does, but instead of that having that flex stuff, I'm just going to have a little bit more control over just the spacing and things like that. So okay, so I'm going to just columns. We got stack on mobile, which is what I want, and this just gives us the ability to change the width, and so I can go 30% on that one. Over in this column, I'll go 70% of the page. Actually, what am I going to go? 60%. Increase this to 40%. And I'm going to align the content in that column to the center there. Then I'm going to put in a paragraph block under this, so I'm going to go and get some Lorem Ipsum. Okay, so I'm just going to grab that, and I'm going to just go and paste that there. Now this spacing here is not that great, so I'm going to go to the heading block that I've got here. I'm going to go down to dimensions, and I'm going to go margin, go and put some bottom margin on that just to give it a little bit more space. Set that to 4, and then I'm going to go and add in a button. And this is the call to action, so let's just say, sign up today. And again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my dimensions on that, and I'm also going to go to outline. I think that's a little bit better, and I'm going to, okay, that's the padding for the specific block itself. I'm going to go into the buttons here, and then I'm going to go to block spacing, and go margin, I'm going to bring that to 4, so it's the same. And that's it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to publish that, and I'm going to go and view the page on the front end. And yeah, don't worry about this header bit. What I might do is I might go and change the page template to just be a blank, so there's no header or footer. which is getting picked up by the theme. So, and as you can see there, I've got my layout, which is what I've got here. Now, what I want to do is bring in a bit of so that's the padding there. I'm going to go to column, and I'm going to go to padding right. I'm going to add in a bit of padding to, let's keep it as 4. I'll go back and refresh, and now we've got a bit of padding there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and add another group block, just a straightforward, and inside that group block I'm going to add another column structure, and this time it's going to be half-half. In this column I'm going to put a YouTube video, so let's go to YouTube. Go grab this video that I've done previously, and I'll go grab that URL of that, go over here, and I'll paste that in and click embed, and then you'll see the video appear there, which is pretty sweet. And over here I'm going to just again, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you another thing you can do. So I'm just going to duplicate this, and I'm going to just go and click on the 3 dots, duplicate. And I'm going to click and drag that, and I'm going to drag it down into this column here. So now you can see that there, and I'm going to go to the column and click on the middle of the line. Column again, I'm going to stay in there. I'm going to go to my padding again. So I'm going to put in some padding to the left, which is 4, get that spacing in there. And what I might also do is I might put some spacing to the group, so that there's a little bit of spacing between these top groups. So you can see here under the outline now, I've got 667 characters, words, and you can also see the structure starting to come out here as well in the outline. So I'm going to keep going, and under the padding, under the group padding, actually what I'll do is I'll bring in a margin on this. So margin top, I'm going to bring in, again, I'm going to keep it consistent with the 4. I'll click on update, I'll go and have a look at that page now, and you'll see this page starting to flesh out. So as you can see, and then on mobile, when I scroll down like this, you'll see that things start to collapse on the mobile, which is pretty neat. Now, I'm going to bring in a bit more spacing actually on that margin. So rem, I might go 4.5. So then that will give it a little bit more padding there. So as you can see, I'm starting to really build out kind of like a nice little page here. I mean, it's fairly basic, but this is just using the standard blocks from WordPress, and I'm just showing you how to go ahead and do certain things. So again, I'm using the group block a lot here because I like to just wrap things within the group block, because we can actually do things like, I'm going to just go ahead and duplicate this, and I'm going to drag this down into the group. I'm going to go to the group here. My content is going to be 900, so I'm going to take up so much space there. And again, I'm going to go to add my margin to this, and I'm going to click on that one and go to top, and we'll go to RAM, we'll go 4.5 to keep it consistent. Then I'm going to grab this button here, and I'm going to copy this block instead of duplicating, so copy that. I'm going to come down and then click enter, and I'm going to so you can actually just paste, actually no, that doesn't work. Come into the You can paste by on your keyboard, Command V on your keyboard. Actually, that's not working either. Copy block. And insert after. So on my keyboard, I just click the I'm on a Mac, so I just click Command V to paste. If you're on a PC, it's Control V to paste. You can also Control C blocks as well. So if you go over here, click on the block, Control. Command C. I'm on a Mac again. Control C on a PC. You'll see that now button has added. So now I can just click Command V again. Actually, I'll just go down the next line. Command V again, and you'll see that the button appears. So this time I'm going to align the button. There we go. That one. That aligns the text, and of course this is the align to for the specific for the specific block there. Okay, so I'm just going to center align the text here, and what I'm also going to do, something a little bit unique here, is I'm going to add a background color to this group. And bring in a bit of padding so that there's a little bit of padding in here. So I'll just set that to 5. Let's do 6 on that. And then on the group again, I'll go back to here, and then we've got background options here, and we'll click on the blue. That text to background color is a little bit not great. So what I'll do is I'll click on the paragraph block, go to text, and I'll change that to white. Also, I can move things around in here as well in the color picker. Same for the button. I'm going to go into style, and the text color is going to be white. So then now the button is white. Now, of course, you just need to play around with the colors just to see. Now I'm going to go to the front of the site, and you can start seeing that I'm really starting to build out a nice little design here that's it's quite basic, but it's using all the basic standard blocks that you get with WordPress. I'm not using any fancy blocks or anything like that. Now, I've gone through pretty quickly on this, so you can kind of see how easy it is just to put in blocks and how to create layouts using the group or the column. And of course, there's a whole bunch of other array of blocks that I could possibly go through, but I won't, because it's going to make this video really long. Now, one other thing that I want to point out is that the blocks that you've got are that you have access to with the WordPress editor just by default. Can be limiting in some ways, right? So there's certain things that you can't really do, and it just might get a little bit annoying. Let's just say I want to go and change the color of that. I can do that, and just want to sort of make it a little bit different. So you might feel like you're a bit limited in what you can do with the blocks. Now, the cool thing about WordPress, as we all know, is there are things called plugins. So now I'm quite biased towards plugins, but there are a lot of plugins. If you go into let's go to Google here, and we'll go block plugins WordPress into Google here, and you can see here there's an article here, 11 best block plugins for WordPress, and if you scroll down again, you'll basically see articles, which is fine, you can do that, and you can definitely go through some of the lists here on this website and go through what you can do. So there are other plugins out there, well, there's a lot of plugins out there. that offer other block types. So you know, they can be all very similar, and some can be very limiting, but you know, and there's even plugins that just give you one specific block, you know, one thing. But there's a lot of plugins out there that give you a whole array of different types of blocks. Okay, so as I scroll through here, you know, there's auto blocks, there's Genesis blocks, there's stackable. That's a pretty good plugin. And as you can see, you know, it can give you a container block similar to the group block that you get. Post block, which displays a list of your posts or your blog posts. Featured grid, your accordion block. So all these little different things that you can do or add to your site that you know, just give it a little bit more oomph, and you know, you don't have to do too much with it. Again, Code Blocks is another plugin. Now, you get the idea. So there is a plugin that I use quite a lot in my development called the Green Shift Animation and Page Builder Blocks. So if you go to View Details there, so that's a plugin that you can actually go and get from the WordPress repository. Let's just go to the WordPress.org site here. And so this is one I use. So this gives you a whole bunch of different blocks to extend the you know, extend what you can do with the block editor. So I've already got that installed there, but if you don't have it already installed, or if you're going to go and try any of the other ones that I sort of mentioned in that article, you just click on plugins, got the top here, and you just click on you know, paste in the you know, the name of the block plugin into there, and then I've already got that activated, so I might just go ahead and activate that, and I'll show you what I mean. But if I go back to plugins, I'll go to add new, and even if I go in here, and you can even do a search in the plugin, so if you go plugins, add new, and you just put blocks, for example, you'll get a whole bunch of different plugin suggestions as well. So you've got Spectra Gutenberg blocks, you've got Essential blocks, there's that auto one, there's the Green Shift one that I've got installed. Yeah, and again, it's just there's a lot, right? So yeah, but I'm not going to spend too much time on that. So I've activated that now. So what I do is I go and refresh this page that I've been working on, and now what you'll notice when I click on the plus icon here, you'll see a whole bunch of different blocks added now to the editor here. And by the way, that Green Shift plugin that I'm demoing here is completely free, but it gives you a whole bunch of different options that you don't get with the default blocks. Not saying that the default blocks are bad, I'm just saying that some of them are very limited to what you can do. So for example, the default heading block here, you know, I can only do a certain amount of things with this. But let's just say if I go insert after and I go and put advanced heading block, which is now what Green Shift offers. Now I can do quite a lot of things here. So I can, you know, change the text color just similar to what I did. I can even put a hover color now. So if I hover over that, it changes to red. Right? So just reset that. It's even got like little settings here for margins and padding, so you don't have to sort of like fiddle around with things. You can set presets, you can do all sorts of things. So if I want to get the top margin there and keep the bottom, I can do that. There's even things in here where I can copy styles of the block and paste them onto, say for example, if I have two heading blocks here like this, and I've got this, and I've got, you know, like a padding of 50, and let's just say I've got a background color here of red. Oh, that's a horrible looking. Let's go white there. Okay, so I'll go here and I click copy style attributes, right, on that. I come down here and I go paste style attributes, So now you can see that it applies those attributes. So things that you can't do with the block, the standard block, is just copy and paste certain attributes. There's a copy block here, but that's not the same thing. That's just copying the block. So and then there's a whole bunch of other sort of things in here. So this one also, this block plugin also has its own row block, which is what I use quite a lot. Again, you can create this, create the different column structures here, 2 by 2. And if I go into Visual Builder here, I can drag things down to certain sizes. This is a very new feature that's just come into the plugin, so I can then add in, so say if I add in an image, they have their own image block as well, so I'm just going to pop that in there, go to Media Library and pop in this like that, and then it's got a whole bunch of settings over here as well. So I can change the width and height all dynamically, and I can just disable WP Low. I can have enable lightbox on it, so if somebody clicks on it, pops it open in a bigger image on the screen. So yeah, you can do all sorts of things, and you could even mix and match. Like, you don't have to use all of the green shift stuff. You can still use a lot of the a lot of the plugins that you get, a lot of the blocks that you get with the standard layout. So this green shift also has its own button tab as well. If I go into that column there and I go down to another cool feature about the green shift blocks is that you can go into Flexbox. So it's got CSS Grid, Flexbox, and it's just really neat. So you can center align things. I'll do so I want that style, and I want the content to be aligned in the middle of the column, and I can change certain features about this as well. So you can have dynamic URL stuff on this. It's really quite amazing. You do need additional add-ons to get some of this functionality, but out of the box, it's really, really cool. I might want to go to the row settings, go to the sizing, and I'll go 40 top, 40 bottom. I'll update that, go to my editor, my site here, and you can see now that that section is there. And it's really cool because it puts in the padding for you as well, so you don't have to play around with paddings for columns and all that sort of thing. So it's so anyway, what else did I want to go over? So in the so obviously, as you saw in the side here, in the right hand side, this is all the different settings for the page, all the posts that you're working on. If you go into the page settings here, you can see the visibility is public. You can that's the publish date. Template is blank, and this is where you can put like a featured image of that post, or that page, I should say, and just general sort of stuff that you see about that. But then you've of course got the block panel here as well, which is relevant to the block that you're working with. So if I click on the advanced heading one here, you'll see that the settings change, and as you can see, I'm changing things over on the right here, and it's reflecting over there. And again, I can change the color of things here, and you'll see that reflected over there. Actually, I might get rid of that because it's really ugly, and I'll just put that back to black, or I might make it blue. And then you can set font sizes here. It's even got fluid typography, which is really nice, which you have a lot more control over the fluid of the block here than you do in the default heading block. You can't really do too much, even though it does have size here, and it does have a fluid extra large H1. Now fluid literally just means that it changes size on the device that you're viewing, so it will just go down smaller, and it'll flex to the size of the device, which is really nice. In the old days, we had to go to the desktop and set a size for the font, tablet set a size, or set a range on through CSS for the different device sizes, but now we've just got flex and or fluid controls, so it's really quite nice using clamp and all that. So you can use clamp here as well, which is really nice. So anyway, but that I didn't want to really go too deep into that. But this is just pretty much just the basics of the block editor. I didn't want to go too crazy outside the box there. So so I'm going to wrap it up here. But I hope that kind of gives you a bit of an overview of what you can do with the block editor, and how it can sort of be a little bit more, as you can see, it's a little bit more beneficial than just this normal, this classic editor that we had. So you can really start building out a page, and have different elements on the page. And if I go to my site WP Genie, this is all built with the block editor. It's actually not being, I'm not using Elementor or any other plugins to create this page. I'm using the block editor to do that. And the benefit of that is it's fast loading. Same with my other website, Gold Coast Business Websites. This is all using, so everything from actually no, I'm using blocks as well for the header as well, but that's in a separate section. But everything on this page that you see is all blocks, and row blocks and image blocks, and they're all just blocks. So you can really see that you can really create really nice looking websites purely using the block editor. You're not stuck to a page builder like Elementor, even though they're great too. I'm not knocking those. If you really like using those, go for it. But the block editor in itself is really quite amazing, and it's just getting better all the time. So anyway, I hope this video helps. I know it's gone on for a bit, but as with most of my videos, I tend to waffle on, but I really do try and pack in a lot of good content, so you really get to see a lot of the different ways you can build out a website and a page on your website with WordPress and the block editor. So thanks for joining me on this video, and please like, share and subscribe, and share with your friends if you find this valuable. And and I'll be introducing more videos to you in the future, so stay tuned for those. Thanks again, and all the very best with your WordPress website building and development. Alright, bye for now.